if force and magic two different things? Force, the darker idea of what is magic, meaning all of absolute, but not about it, meaning solely recited by any of sire. But in this time not to sire, meaning sire, but to I sire, meaning the adjective verbial pronounce but not pronoun to that. In degree, in a forced but not forced sexually, sorry to speak that way. That is neither of magic nor of force. It's certainly without darkness then, but only not of light. It's of evil, the omen. And if that is true, Jesus Christ possesses, if existing in some form or the other, a truly natural gift. Good with power, okay. Maybe a magician, okay. Maybe a cursed, whatever. Beautiful, if laid upon yourself by the name you bear. And she does too. So what is an ancient Egyptian or any other old languages name Emmanuel? Maria. Well, Maria basically means, if you just refer to the concept, the absolute. In darkness laid by, no, in hostage to ex darkness, to someone. Emmanuel means my power is my any idea, meaning a whole of sire, the verb in this time. Now, the silence is something different than I silence. It works with English very well, but not with all verbs. Now, what are these names in ancient Egyptian? Well, Emmanuel is your hope to guide yourself in the darkest of times, but not the dark valley. That's where you live in. Emmanuel, small, Emmanuel. To a degree, meaning or Mahir. Now, Mahir means in darkness by loved, the one chosen. Basically, Rahmana in this context means I fate myself to that, which is but I don't mean a person, I mean the concept. If you're referring to the name, a person varies by this, the person doesn't bear it. Said it can be a curse, but it doesn't need to be one you bear. It needs to be one you hold. Absolutely. So Cupid, if married, otherwise just someone who doesn't need a wife, or she no husband. That isn't a single. Well, fair works. If you're not searching for someone, then not searching for someone. But most likely, in my idea, this concept of personality, unless I'm wrong, correct me here, for us it holds not true. I said, don't need to realize it, but need to reverse it, meaning re-establish it, because of language, syntax, and confusion that can not usually other sexual. It cannot be different usually in any form of any sort of any idea of I or X, meaning the Y is not the Q, it's the I, but no, then death. So that's fairly relevant. Now, what power would Jesus Christ possess? What would be the avatar of God be, how described in the Bible? It would have nothing to do with personality, nothing to do with God. Nonetheless, it would be a live stream, so we all can't access it. Because you can literally put a person into rape, most likely, but also not. Because that can be protected otherwise, and then you just would not be connected to God, right? But what would that be, this avatar of God? Well, what is sin? What is fate? What is magic? Truth, the omen. Meaning the darkest of evil. The one you can pray to, but only in respect, not in interaction to respect or any of violation by grave acts, meaning you don't variate yourself to the you don't allow any but God. And God then is the avatar of any of that. But not a God. So what would the avatar of God be? Oh, like a skin scale. No. Like a sin scale. Meaning you're weighting your own heart all the time against something. That has a good reason. But that's just part of your character. If that would be true, that would be responsible towards yourself, not to anyone else. You just hold them into justice. It's the nature. Nothing but it. But there's something truly gift that would come with this if correct. If wrong, wrong. I will try to give proof of that. We will. Now a sin scale would not be to put the sins on your back. That would just be metaphor. The cross would be in the sense of relationship. That is a sin you cannot absolve. You should not. I will never try to absolve it for someone. It's irrational. Now, what would the avatar of this idea be? Well, someone who interacts with fate to absolve sin before it happens. By every interaction with the avatar of God, you would not give anyone else but yourself an idea of life, and only by demand of that person interacting with any of your value at meaning mortus ochmene ardor vertiosa, meaning sin absolved by fate on your own back. Yes, but what else? What would it mean? Well, the avatar value is this, meaning value meaning value wrong. True meaning without being held responsible to it as possible, and just bad negative consequence for other people through time, etc. can be, if possible. Value what doesn't word exist, which is derivation, so in language that is presentable and at the moment existing. Value x cos CCL at is of by, and then maybe nothing. CCL exists, but how does what usually is written and not pronounced? Xicthal, meaning Scythia, or Scythia, or critical. Scythia. But critical is already an idea of it. Would be Scythia, meaning citadel. You know? That would be the avatar of this idea B. Does it exist? Am I an avatar of someone? A life path of something? No. Can someone jump into my life? Will I allow that? If possible, no, never. So, is there an avatar of God that could absorb sin if Jesus Christ exists by means of its power? Yes. How would that work? If such I as describing endowed by ein, meaning leaving like a leaf, meaning hyperbolizing. The neologism doesn't work, meaning polyolite, wrong, meaning intersign, way, I as of at Eretvato. Eretvato exists in every language. See? Eretvato exists in every language. What does Eretvato mean? Eretvato is a Latin word, must exist. And Eretvato is then the idea that something cannot be drawn, something cannot be put, something cannot be changed. Fate is fate. Meaning, as long as language develops to any experience, what happens with the future? Well, fate. If fate is sealed destiny, then language is proof of conceptualization by any of nothing. Meaning, as soon as fate intertwines and intersects with something, it causes something new into idea. You can interact with it, but must not. Thus, sin is more likely and less likely, but not really. That doesn't make a difference. It's all up to your choice. You can abstain or not use that idea then. Which is not the avatar, which is the intersection of fate. But what do I mean with that? Well, proof of concept is language. It's not of sex then. Sex noises make language. What is language? Well, also art. It's artwork. It's video. It's proof of concept.
Jesus Christ.
It's proof of concept. No. That artwork works. Gets you to the idea that that would be, in fact, work. Meaning it swells, it lines, and the artwork is artwork. Thus, the consequence of by a variation, meaning a vague variation, but not a vague one, meaning a vague one, which would be something like give way to eradicate, thus understanding that that power which then would derive fate would be helpful for something, but besides the point, because that when fate intersects would cause, thus who intersected this idea of fate by causing sin upon each other will lead to the down in fall by their non-affirmed or affirmed hope. Thus, which is of causation at crossway of fated circle will inflame future soul by any point. Meaning, if fate exists and it is sealed destiny, meaning calculating, not really, meaning involving the future of yourself by your own free choice and only that, then something that would derive this idea like language would, but doesn't need to be the proof of concept, is then by sealed future, meaning sealed pathways, meaning less free will to interact with this idea of one's own idea and position, but not a sexual one, sorry for that one, to fate, meaning the sealing by destiny of seal, will then cause less free will in that regard. Meaning, once you understood the triangle, you don't understand the second one anymore if you already sinned in this idea. It's not sex as well. You don't see the upper triangle before you see the lower ones. And you don't see the triangle in the X, or the hypothetical construct in there.
What would sin be? Sin is a derived concept from the actions.
If that's true, the video is then construction and a hypothetical frame, for example, of the artwork by the two axes and the line, focusing on one triangle and forming a geometric pattern if you have a lot of idealizing of imagination. You would have less of this once you sinned and sealed your fate in such an idea that it will strike you then back. And Jesus would know how to absolve this fate as long as he is unharmed. He would know how to work against that by understanding this. And why would he? Because he understands the cross is not for the sins of anyone else. It would be just a metaphor that would never be drawn. Golgotha is for his wife. This place, his Garden of Eden. The idol of March. You need to die. Now, fate would then be not absolved. You would still need to hold up to it. Thus, you would have a problem. Because out of the sudden, fate is then striking back at you, giving you less free pathways, and the next time you try to sin without knowing what you're doing, the sin strikes back without you knowing why it does that. Now, Jesus would try to absolve this, but not at all means, because that would not work. Jesus and the avatar of God, meaning the idea, and the one of God will never exist. That's irrational. Would need to work against that. But doesn't need to, must. Yeah, it could. Because fate says at this moment, irrelevant. Doesn't matter. Now, if that's true, what is magic? Don't know. What would the avatar of God then be, if it would exist? Well, would put whatever you do with that power on a scale, on a sin scale. Meaning every time you sin against yourself, you just devour the sins of that scale. And you make it worse. You mean you can't sin against yourself or your loved one at any sort or any cost of means. Sin doesn't work like this. Then you didn't understand fate. Why is the word? Is it sin? I don't know. So what would that be then? The idea would then be that the sin scale would further be weighted against the intention to degrade it and devour it to be further successful. If not near anymore, Jesus can go up to heaven again, but resurrected after 3 days, metaphorically speaking. If resurrected by that, not of matter. His wife too. Now, sin scale would then need something free of sin to work that, meaning to encipher that
Meaning nothing whatsoever.
why
Jesus
phantomized. Ingrate. Meaning either ingrate or incrate, but there's only pronunciation. I mean incrate. But not like a cradle, meaning incrate, to not have been created. What would created be? Not created, not created, not cremated. The middle word. Incrate, like a crate. A crate of beer. Let's say it. Like 24 bottles of beer in a box. Yeah. That would the avatar of that idea of God do if Jesus exists. Just because someone can turn water into wine doesn't mean the person does that, though. That is irrational to believe. So he doesn't die for the sins of humanity. He loses something. And humanity is then not humans, it's the manity, meaning the human insanity.
meaning magic.
And there we come to the problem. Is it more than just the scale of sin? Yeah. Can he use power for that? No. Can he use himself as a sacrifice for that? No. Can they use? No. Can they sacrifice themselves in any sort to that, towards that, for that? No. And work with that? No. And any of that? No.
No.
Because that would just put sin on the scale and derivate that idea. And good would be disregarded. It's not for evil. It's to give way, but not truly. Would be. Because the scale would be weighted against where it would be necessary to idealize some paths in the idea of what is. And that would cause some I as if evasion. Evasion is a true word, I think exists, meaning awaiting deviation or awaiting, meaning waving, awaiting. Now that would be fairly relevant then, because that would then mean that avatar causes good to spiral further its own idea into success, regardless of consequences for anything else but good, truly good. Meaning no sin caused to itself for this idea or in the life of this idea or in anything outside that unless of own accords. By true means, meaning a decision that is not rash or conjured up on you or manipulated or blah blah blah. Thus, that Avatar would now work with that scale to check how the work of sins would intertwine to manipulate the idea that fate would be seen. Thus, people would not know what they need to do till they know what to do. Their knowledge comes into place, and so forth and so forth. And why would Jesus Christ have this gift but not God? Meaning, Adam and Eve could not do that because they are father and our mother, and they should not, and fuck off, man. Or any one of their children, or anyone actually. It's a bloody bad idea. And why would that be? Yes, fate is fate, death is death. But why would that be? Because Jesus knows that someone will betray him, but not if it is Jesus.
What would sin
He doesn't
be?
know who will
Sin is
betray him.
derived.
He doesn't know who will strike at him and for what. He knows there will be a moment before a bottle of gold, but not even a true memory of what will be that. Meaning he can't know the future, blah 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 blah. Why would he have then that gift? Jesus Christ doesn't know the future. He's still praying that this will be absolved to his Father, take that cross away from him, right? And in the end, he is promised by Johanned, the baptized one, to be of security. Yeah, but what does it mean? Security in pain? No. Security in the safe? No. What would that mean? Security in serenity at all cost of means. Meaning he can conjure up his own death at any point that he likes to absolve sin of himself, what the cross would be used in. And if that's true, well, the idea that then fate is of any of that sort would be a sealed destiny. He can seal his destiny by himself without causing a new sin into the world. He can vanish from the existence of idea. No, in the Bible, Jesus Christ's face is described. No feature whatsoever. No idea of his personality, just his words. Nothing of it. Nonetheless, he's still praying to the Father for security, and only knows moments before Maria marries him that that woman will be his wife, and Judas betrays him immediately. Interesting. How would that work out? No, it wouldn't work whatsoever. But it would give proof that the one bottle of wine is the true one and the rest was given to the disciples by no means. That's not the wine that was previously mentioned, not the true wine that Jesus turned. And that would give him to the one thing in the Bible that is most likely then the proof. If you understand that, you most likely understand a lot about theology, but if you do understand it as well, you just understand what I'm hinting at. And that is that. Jesus Christ gets one hint, but the devil himself, meaning the darkest desire, not Lucifer. He should turn a stone and will rule. Doesn't need to betray the Father. Yeah. Throw a stone, degrade himself. But he doesn't know if to do it or not. Jesus Christ can still get tempted into it. He gets tempted to throw the stone, meaning degrade himself in any way for no means possible. That will be not Jesus Christ, not Jesus. That will be a fallen angel, which Jesus Christ can never be. Thus, the fate is absolved by him going by the desert, not a donkey. And thus, no fig leaf, but always just wine. And that would mean, basically speaking to everyone to understand, if he doesn't get which plant will cause harm to him, he knows why he doesn't get that. He knows why he cannot be secure, but why he doesn't throw something in somewhere to understand the plant. Because he cannot and will always prevent that by any means possible. You can say to him whatever you want to, he will not listen. She neither. Thus, for that reason then, fate is of sort that it is sealed by a decision to not let it guide the action towards it. And to understand that and be totally free in that, as well as ultimate freedom to not seal your own fate, is a true gift. Yeah. But the Devata doesn't exist. Like, at least I don't believe in that. And I don't think it ever existed. And if so, of such, it never existed again. Not with me, not with anyone else, most likely. Not with God, not with Eve. And didn't exist and will never exist again. It is gone.